All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Josh Decker. We still have about another minute before we're going to get started. So just wanted to pop on really quick and welcome you and let you know we'll get started here in just a minute or two. All right. Well, again, good evening. My name is Joshua Decker. I'm glad you could join us this evening. Tonight, we are getting started. We're going to be talking about the toxin-free family. And so I appreciate you taking some time to come and join us and get more information about what it is that our families deal with that a lot of us don't necessarily know all the time. So we're going to be together for just about an hour tonight. And this recording will be available for everybody to get access to after this is done. So if you want to come back and watch it at some point, you're more than welcome to. At this point, everybody should be able to see my screen. If you can't, go ahead and send me a quick chat in the chat box, and we'll be able to handle that for you. So the way this is going to work, there's a lot that I want to talk with you about tonight and really just help educate you on. The purpose of tonight's call is really just to give you some information about things that are in products that most of us use every day and don't realize that there's a problem with what we're using. And so my goal is to help you understand what's in some of the products that you're using and give you some alternatives that you can look at to see if you can make better choices for your health is really what I'm going after. So to get started, let me tell you just a little bit about me. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Decker, and my wife Kim and I have been members of Young Living Essential Oils now for about 2 years. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go in. But I can tell you to get started, I wasn't the person who was like, "Yay, let's go do essential oils." And my wife said this was what we needed to do. This was something that we needed for our kids, and so that's how we got in. For me, the reason why I'm doing this particular class and why I'm so passionate about the oils now is because of these two guys right here. These are my two sons. I have two sons. One is 8. One is, I'm sorry, 8.5, and one is 2.5. They're both there in both pictures. And what happened is when our 2.5-year-old was young, he had a pretty severe skin condition. And, we tried a whole bunch of things, and nothing that we tried worked. Nothing that the pediatrician tried to give us really worked. And so we were at the end of our rope. And when I say we, I mean, really my wife was at the end of her rope trying to figure out what do we do to care for this child. And what ended up happening is somebody that we knew introduced us to Young Living and said, "Hey, there are some products that Young Living has that might help support healthy skin for your son and help deal with this issue he's dealing with." And so we went and met somebody. We got some oils on him. And sure enough, his skin started becoming healthier. And that's what we were looking for. And so that's how we got introduced to Young Living. And since that time, 2 years ago, we have brought oils and Young Living products into our home for so many things. And we've really started educating ourselves around what is it that we encounter in our environment that is going to impact us. It's going to have an impact on our health. And part of why we started investigating this was the skin condition my young one had. What we found out was that he actually had an allergy to synthetics, to latex and polyester and those kinds of things. And so that was a pretty unique thing. Not many people have had that we knew at that point. And the doctors really had never encountered that before. And so it was just an interesting thing for us, but it opened our eyes to how many things are in our environment that we don't ever really pay attention to that can hurt us. And so that's what we want to talk about tonight. So we've already gotten a couple of minutes in. Let me just tell you, hang out with us for the entire hour tonight. So we're going to be just about an hour. And at the end of it, for anybody who has hung out with us for the whole time, I have a special gift for you that I want to give you. So be sure to hang out with us the whole time. And if you have some questions that you want to put in, there's a little dialogue box here in the webinar interface that you can enter questions in. And so I'll just put a little thing in here. Perfect. So just enter questions there, and at the end of our time together, we will go ahead and come back and answer questions that you might have. So what I'd like to do first is talk about our skin. So for us, really a big part of young living for us and our health journey has been skin for my little one. And that is just huge. So let me share with you some of what we've learned about skin. So first thing that I want to point out is that our skin absorbs about 60% of what we put on it. And really our skin is actually the biggest organ that our body has. And it truly is an organ. But think about that for a minute. 60% of whatever we put on it, we absorb. So I'm a guy, I go out and work on the car, keep it running and whatnot. And, I'm out there, I'm working with chemicals and something spills on my arm. 60% of what spilled on my arm is now making its way into my blood system. And that means because it's getting my blood system, it's going into every organ of my body, including my brain, ultimately to be filtered out by my liver. So the liver really in our environment works overtime to filter out the things that we end up getting on our skin. So think through that for a minute and everything that comes in contact with your skin. And do you know what's in all of what comes in contact with your skin? Most of us don't. And so we're going to look tonight at just some of the common products that we have and what is it that's in them and what's going to be making its way into your body. Now, one thing I wanted to point out also is that for children, it's even more, because kids and babies especially have skin that's about 3 times less thick than adult skin. So it's thinner. And because of that, instead of getting about 60% of what's getting on their skin going into their bodies and into their blood, it's actually closer to like 90%. So they get about 40 to 50% more than we do as adults. So when we put stuff on our kids or on our grandkids or kids that we're around, just think about that. What is it that's in this stuff we're putting on our kids? And what is it that it's going to do? And so some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight in terms of products, it's things like deodorant. It's things like lotion and soap and shampoo and conditioner and sunscreen and cleaning products. And hold that thought for a minute, because most of us don't think about cleaning products as being something we put on our skin. But consider this. When you scrub your floor, or when you scrub your shower or your bathtub, you're using some sort of cleaning product to do that. And then like your kids, for instance, will go crawling on the floor, playing on the floor. So whatever you put on the floor to clean it is now coming in contact with their skin, which is 3 times less thick than yours, and it's making its way into their blood system. So because of the residue that's there. Same thing with bath. You scrub your bathtub, then you go take a nice relaxing bath, and the residue of whatever cleaner you use in your bathtub is now in your bath water, soaking into your skin and soaking in to your blood and then making its way through your body. Most of us don't think about that. But the deodorant, the lotion, the soaps, the shampoos, all of this stuff that we intentionally put on our skin, it all has stuff in it that we go, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was in this product. And once you find out, you start going, oh my gosh, this is a little bit crazy. So what is it? There are so many different products that we could talk about tonight, or different ingredients also. We're not going to go through all of them because I'm trying to keep our time limited. So I picked out really just about 4 that are really heavy on my heart, that are in almost every healthcare and product that you could get for personal hygiene and house upkeep. And so I want to cover those, but there are so many more products and ingredients out there that you need to be aware of. And so what I would encourage you at the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you some resources, some places to go look and learn about some of these other ingredients that you might want to be aware of. But for tonight, here are the ones that we're going to look at. We're going to look at sodium lauryl sulfate. We're going to look at propylene glycol. That's a really fun one. And some people have started becoming more aware of that one. We're going to look at parabens. Now, parabens is interesting because culturally we've started becoming more aware of parabens, and you're starting to see products that are paraben free. So companies are starting to notice, and part of what you should take away from that is that our dollars speak. So when we don't buy things because of what it has in it, companies take notice of that, they stop making a profit on it, and so they change what they're doing. And here's the thing I can tell you, all of these ingredients that we're going to talk about tonight, they are not needed in any of the products that they're used in from a consumer perspective. They're just not needed. There are other things that they could use that are non-toxic to the system, of which we're going to talk about some of those, and not poison us. But instead, companies use these things because they are trying to make interesting, or not interesting, they're trying to make their product more appealing to us, for instance, maybe smoother, maybe easier to use. So they put these chemicals in there that really, quite honestly, aren't needed. And so we're going to talk about those. Parabens is one of them. And the last one we're going to talk about is dioxin, which most of us probably haven't heard of. And when we get to that, I'm going to explain why. So let's talk about the sodium lauryl sulfate. So sodium lauryl sulfate is actually, it's also known as sodium laureth sulfate. Okay, so it's 2 different names there. So make sure that when you look at your ingredients list on your soaps and your conditioners and all those things, you're looking for both of these. And what this is used in industrially is car washes and garage floor cleaners and engine degreasers. So just to give you an idea, the stuff that's in some of our personal care product, right, is also used in car washers and garage floor cleaners and engine degreasers. Oh my gosh, this is pretty heavy stuff, right? And yet we find it in our stuff. And so, you know, me being a guy who just doesn't want to accept what I read for everything, I always do a little bit of research. And so one of the things I found as I was looking into this, the International Journal of Toxicology, so an organization that looks at chemicals and says, okay, this chemical may not be great for people, but is it safe in certain dosages? And what they said for the sodium lauryl sulfate is, you know, they recommend not using it in concentrations of more than 1%. You know, okay, great, 1%. But what we find when you really start digging into it, and you'll never find this on the label of the products you use, but most consumer products that use sodium lauryl sulfate, there we go, have a concentration of actually between 10 and 20%, and in some extreme cases, it goes up to 30%. So you're looking at, you know, 10-fold, 20-fold, and 30-fold of what is recommended to be safe. That's what's making its way into our personal hygiene products. And so that's just one product. But you start looking at how many different products it's used in and how proliferant it is in what we use. And you start going, oh my gosh, this is so widely used. I'm not just getting more than, you know, 10, 20, 30-fold what is safe in this one product, but I'm getting it in all of these products. And what is that doing to my body? And so when we think about that, the question starts becoming, well, what is it going to do to the body? And the important thing to know is that when we look at what these things can cause, what these chemicals can cause, you may not see all of them for you. They may cause it for some people, they may cause it for others. Some of the things may be down the road where you don't notice it at first, but after years and years of use, you might notice it. Some of the things you may not be able to directly link to it, but it's there anyway. And so it's just things to be aware of. So sodium lauryl sulfate, some of what we know it does is it causes skin irritation. It causes teeth damage. It causes endocrine disruption. Let's stop there for a minute. So endocrine disruption, that's our hormone system, right? So more and more people are having issues with testosterone imbalance and estrogen imbalance. I mean, think about the intensity for the women, right, of how intense menopause is now. And part of the reason for that is because the estrogen progesterone balance in the body is not where it should be. And there's so much synthetic estrogen in the system that the body doesn't know what to do with. I mean, it just can't do what it's designed to do, which what is caused is more intense symptoms of things like menopause. That's what causes that. But forget, just the gender-specific hormones. What about, dopamine? What about serotonin? And people who have issues with balancing, some of those normal other hormones that regulate our mental health, that regulate things like thyroid function and other organ functions. These are all run by hormones. And a product, a chemical like sodium lauryl sulfate can disrupt those systems. It's very important to understand. It can also cause hair loss, it can cause cataracts, it can cause mouth ulcers, and it can cause eye and oral toxicity. So keep that in mind as we start looking at where the stuff is used. Okay, so especially like the teeth and the mouth ulcers and things like that. So here's where we find it being used. It's used in shampoo, it's used in toothpaste, it's used in mouthwash, it's used in hand creams and lotions, and it's used in cleaners. And this product, the sodium lauryl sulfate, here's what it does. It makes things foam. That's all it does. There's no other reason for it to be in these products except to make things foam. So when you start getting a shampoo or a soap that's not foaming, it's not because it's not working. It's simply because it doesn't have this chemical that's toxic to your system hidden in it. Wow. That took me a little while to get over because, I'm the kind of guy I got in the shower and I wanted to feel my hair get nice and sudsy. And when my wife first switched us out of the traditional, store bought, Head and Shoulders or whatever have you, I was like, man, I don't think this is working very well. And she said, no, it's working fine. It just doesn't have the chemical in it that causes it to foam. Well, this is that chemical. So, again, I want to be fair to companies who are doing it well and hammer those who aren't. So I went to the store as I was preparing for this, and I just started shopping up and down the hygiene aisle, and I started taking pictures. And so tonight we're going to pick on some companies. And here's the thing. I'm going to pick on everybody. I'm going to pick on major brands and minor brands. I'm going to pick on brands maybe brands you don't know. I'm going to pick on the big brands that we would expect to have some of these chemicals in it. I'm going to actually surprise you and pick on some of the brands that you wouldn't expect, some of the ones that claim to be more natural. And let's actually look and see what's in their stuff. Okay, so sodium lauryl sulfate, let's take a look. So Axe has sodium lauryl sulfate in it. That's shampoo, conditioner, soaps. Okay, Crest has sodium lauryl sulfate in it. Almost every tube of Crest I picked up, but let's not just hammer Crest. I just didn't put other pictures up here. Almost every tube of toothpaste I picked up had sodium lauryl sulfate in it, including this one, Tom's. We expect Tom's, because they market themselves as more of a natural company, we expect them to have a product that doesn't have the chemicals in it that are going to harm us. But yet here it is. Sodium lauryl sulfate is in Tom's. Wow. Keep that in mind when you go to the store. So even when you're picking up things that you think, man, this is supposed to be good for me, it says it's natural, it says it's free of these things. Okay, great. Well, what else is in it that you may not be aware of? And if you're buying something and you look at the ingredient list and you don't know what that ingredient is, pull out your phone. Most of us have smartphones now. Look it up on Google and find out what the risks are of that product. Do not take Wikipedia's word for it, because Wikipedia is limited. Look for people who've done additional research and look at these things. So that's the sodium lauryl sulfate. Let's look at another fun one, propylene glycol. So let's say it's a hot summer day and you and I are outside, we're mowing the lawn, we're doing some yard work, and the ice cream truck comes by. And I say, hey, let's go get a nice cup of frozen antifreeze. Now, most of us would look and say, "You got to be kidding me! Antifreeze? My kid's out there working with me. Hey, kid, let's go get a nice, frozen stick of antifreeze." And you go, "That's stupid. We would never do that." Well, actually, that's really what we are doing. So propylene glycol is in a lot of products that we wouldn't expect, including ice cream. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But propylene glycol, one thing I do want to mention is it is used in a range of products with a range of formulations and a range of strengths. So one of the things as you go out and you research propylene glycol that you're going to find, and that a lot of people who talk health are going to tell you, is that propylene glycol is part of antifreeze. So when we think about engine coolant, the stuff we put in the car to keep it from overheating, that actually has propylene glycol. It's one of the ingredients. Propylene glycol is a solvent. So what it does is it helps to bind some of those molecules together that's in that particular product. That's what propylene glycol does. That's a pretty heavy strength that's in the antifreeze. When you start thinking about consumer products, so our lotions, our toothpaste, things that we would use, even ice cream, the strength that's used may not be as heavy. And so, then we can start going, okay, well, maybe it's safer because it's not as big of a strength. Well, take this into consideration as you think through that. Every chemical has what is called a material safety data sheet. And the material safety data sheet for propylene glycol cites skin, liver, and kidney damage as possible results of contact, regardless of strength, regardless of quantity. When people handle propylene glycol, when they're actually using it to mix in with stuff, did you know that they are in head-to-toe covers, including breathing apparatuses, because they are so serious about not being exposed to this chemical? That's how dangerous this chemical is. But yet we find it in so many products. And yet, when you go out and you research it online, you have people telling you, well, okay, small doses, it may be okay. But you know what? That may be true. In this one little product, in this one little scoop of ice cream, it may be okay. But because of how many products it's in that we use day after day after day, sometimes multiple times a day, it's not just a little small dose we're getting. And so people who try to tell you, it's okay, it's just a small dose, baloney. Look at how much of it you're actually getting into your system. And it can cause liver damage and kidney damage, skin damage. Oh my gosh, this is a really serious chemical. And yet we want to say it's okay. So where do we find it? Well, let's take a look. We find it in deodorants, in cosmetics, in shaving gel and conditioners, in shampoos, in toothpaste, in face creams, in ice cream. You go to the store and you look at any ice cream that's in the freezer, you're going to find probably two chemicals in most of them. One is propylene glycol. The other is polysorbate 80. Now, we're not talking about polysorbate 80 in depth tonight. I just want to raise it to your awareness, okay? So the propylene glycol is used to help bind the chemicals together. That's what that does. In ice cream, what it does is it actually kind of works as an antifreeze, right? So it helps it to not be as hard and as tough to serve and as tough to eat as it would otherwise be. So it softens the ice cream. Polysorbate 80, on the other hand, makes ice cream nice and smooth. That's what it's used for. Polysorbate 80 and propylene glycol, by the way, are also chemicals that are used in vaccines. Now, we're not going to talk about vaccines tonight. We're not going to delve really far into it. Whether you vaccinate or you don't vaccinate, whatever it is your choice, and it's a great choice. The challenge I want to give all of us is to become educated. Know what it is that we're putting in our bodies. Know what it is that it does to our bodies. Do I want to be putting polysorbate 80 in my body? And in my kid's body, do I want to take a syringe and inject this chemical straight into their blood system? Because when we give a vaccine, that's what we're doing. When we give a vaccine, we're putting polysorbate 80, we're putting propylene glycol right into their blood system. When we eat stuff with these chemicals in it, it's going right into our system. When we put stuff on our skin, it's going right into our system. Remember, adults, 60% of what we put on our skin gets into our blood and impacts every organ in our body. Now think about this. This one, it specifically says conditioners and shampoos, and so did the last one. So you're putting it on your head. Did you know that the skin on your head is not as thick as the skin anywhere else on your body? And when you put something on your scalp, that's direct access to your cerebrum, to your brain. So you're putting these chemicals and you're putting it not just on your arms and legs and body and impacting those, you're basically putting it right there to get direct access to your brain. Holy cow. And we wonder why we're having such problems with hormone imbalances, with mental imbalances and mental health issues, because we're screwing up our brains with all of these chemicals. And here it is right here in these chemicals. So who uses this stuff? What companies is it that we find it in? So again, I went back to the shelf. Here's what we found. Almost every bottle of mouthwash I picked up had propylene glycol in it. Every tube of toothpaste I picked up, without exception, had propylene glycol in it. Every conditioner and every shampoo had propylene glycol in it. Every single stick of deodorant I picked up, even the stuff that was supposed to be healthy, had propylene glycol in it. Every single one. Now, if you're somebody who uses antiperspirant, again, there's another ingredient we're not going to talk a lot about tonight, but I just want to give you a major warning here. So if we use antiperspirant, it also has aluminum in it. And aluminum has recently been linked to basically brain damage, to brain disorders, very specifically Alzheimer's. So we're using deodorant every day because we don't like to sweat, because we want to keep the stink down. We're putting aluminum on our bodies and in our bodies, and what we're doing is accelerating the path to Alzheimer's. Holy cow. Did you know that there's alternatives to that? You don't have to do that. There are other things that you can do that are just as effective, if not more effective, and doesn't put these toxins in your body. That's why we're here tonight talking about this. This is why I'm so passionate about talking about this, because most of us don't understand that this stuff is out there and what it does. I didn't for 30 years. I'm sorry, for 33 years. I used the same thing everybody else used. I was putting chemicals in my body I had no idea I had. And quite honestly, I was doing it happily. I was happy to go to the store and buy this stuff because I didn't want to smell, because I wanted clean looking hair, because I wanted fresh breath. Man, I was happy to do it because this was part of being an adult. This was part of living in a society with other people. I'm happy to do that. But man, when I started finding out what's in this stuff, first it made me go, gee, maybe I should, move to the mountains and become a hermit, because, right, I don't want to stink around other people. But then I started finding out that there's alternatives. And so we're definitely going to talk about some alternatives tonight. But there's a couple more toxins that we need to talk about before we get there. I'm sorry, one specific toxin we're going to talk about before we get there. So the dioxin. So dioxin, the reason we're going to talk about that, we're not going to dig into the parabens much, because again, a lot of people are already aware of parabens, and it's already started impacting the market. Companies are becoming aware. People do not want products with parabens in it because their money spoke. People stopped buying it. The more that we can get information out there about products like the sodium lauryl sulfate, like the polysorbate 80, like the propylene glycol, the more we stop buying it, the more companies are going to start producing other stuff. So let our dollars speak. Dioxin, though, is a little bit more challenging. Here's why I want to talk about it, because dioxin is not normally listed in ingredients lists. It is an ingredient of the chemicals that are in there. So unless you already know what chemicals these are in, then you're not going to find it on the ingredients list. And here's the other thing. Your ingredients list, you're only going to find it on your personal care products and your food. If you go to the store and you start looking for an ingredients list for, let's say, your laundry detergent or your dishwasher soap, or the Lysol you put on the floor, or anything other than a personal hygiene product or a food, you will not find it. Because the government has said, you don't have to tell people what that is. It's a proprietary list, which is fine, but companies are hiding it. Now, if you do a lot of digging online, you can probably find an ingredients list for those products, but it's very, very challenging. And so learn from other people. So what we focused on tonight were a lot of the products that we can just readily see, that you can go to the store, pick up, a stick of deodorant and look at it and go, oh my gosh, this has got propylene glycol in it. This has got, sodium lauryl sulfate in it. So take a look at it. But dioxin, there's a reason why I'm absolutely appalled that dioxin is used and what it's used in. So dioxin is oftentimes used in antibacterial ingredients. Chemicals that would be found in antibacterial products. So those chemicals would be like PEGs, like triglycerin, and like emulsifiers. Okay, so the dioxins are an ingredient in those ingredients. So think about that for a minute. We pick up a bottle of hand sanitizer. I used to carry hand sanitizer around with me when we had our first. We carried hand sanitizer with us everywhere because, oh my gosh, the shopping carts at the store, holy cow, what a breeding ground for germs, right? I don't want that on my kid. I want to protect my kid as much as I can. I want to protect myself. I want to protect others. But what I'm doing when I'm using those products, so we're talking antibacterial soap, we're talking about antibacterial ointment, we're talking about hand sanitizer, and now you go to the mall and they've got hand sanitizer stations all around the mall. You go to the store and they've got hand sanitizer stations all around the store. I mean, it's everywhere. Well, it's got these chemicals in it. So yeah, they're trying to promote health, but they're also trying to promote us putting toxins in our body. So the dioxin, what does it cause? Well, it causes cancer. And that's not it may cause cancer. There have been a lot of studies done that have very directly linked dioxin to cancers. Not all cancers. But when you think about cancer, a very, very small percentage, I think it was like 8% of all cancers are connected to genetics, which means 90 to 92% of cancer that's out there can be prevented because it comes from the environment, from things that we do to ourselves. And things like dioxin, things like these chemicals that we are unaware of that we use, that's what helps us get there. So why do we keep using it? But not only cancer, it also causes reduced immunity. So it makes our immune system not work as well as it should. It gives us nervous system disorders. And holy cow, for pregnant wives, I mentioned I have an 8-year-old, 8.5 and 2.5. Well, my wife's also pregnant. We're expecting our third in January. And boy, am I glad I know this stuff now, because chemicals like dioxin, stuff that has dioxin in it, can cause miscarriages and cause birth defects and birth deformities. Now, both my kids, I love them. They are great kids. But here's what I've noticed, and I wish I had known some of this when they were coming along. So my oldest has a genetic disorder that has not been diagnosed. We don't know what it is. And I just can't help but wonder, is that genetic? Because what we've seen him have, nobody else in either one of our families has. And what we do know about genetic disorders is it can be caused by environmental factors. So his genetic disorder, was that caused by something that my wife was exposed to while she was pregnant or before she was pregnant? In other words, was that preventable? We don't know. And you know what? He's a great kid. You would love him if you met him. If you have met him, he's a great kid, right? But it just makes me wonder. My younger one right now, who had the skin issue, was that caused by exposure to things when my wife was pregnant or before she was pregnant? We don't know. Now, thank goodness we've learned how to manage that. And so he doesn't deal with the repercussions of it as much as he used to. But could we have prevented it? Becomes a big question. And so, man, I'm so glad that in my family, we know this stuff now because my wife is pregnant again, and we have another opportunity to say, you know what, God, however this child comes out, it is yours. We're going to love it. We're going to care for it. But man, I can't wait to see, now that we know more, if there's a little bit different than what happened with my other two kids. I just can't wait to see. And it may not be. It may truly be genetics in our family, and that's perfectly okay. But what if knowing this and removing this stuff creates a different result? Holy cow. I mean, it's that what if thing. And it's always a what if question. What if using this stuff never causes anything? Okay, fine. But what if it does? It's a gamble. And how much are we willing to gamble with our health really has to start becoming one of the questions. Are we willing to say, well, there's a risk, there's a what if. So not everybody gets cancer. Am I willing to roll the dice and see what happens with me? Or do I want to take some control and stop and make different choices that maybe not everybody's going to understand, but make different choices that are healthier for me, that are going to do better than what I can buy at the store. And that's what we've decided to do in my family, and what I want to encourage you and help you to do. So what I want to do is talk about some of the alternatives. So good alternatives to what you can buy at the store. So we've talked about the soaps and the conditioners and shampoos. We've talked about toothpaste and mouthwash and deodorants, right? We've talked about household cleaners. And so basically we've talked about everything that we use on a daily basis that comes in contact with our body and our skin. We haven't talked about food except for ice cream, right? I'm not going to give you any alternatives to ice cream tonight because I don't have a really good one. All right. Just, if you can weed out the rest of this stuff, maybe a little bit of ice cream once in a while isn't going to be so bad. Remember, part of it isn't that, this one product over here has a little bit of this chemical in it. It's that there's so much of this chemical in so many products that we have and that we use on a regular basis. That's why it's worrisome. And so the more we can reduce it, even if you just say, the deodorant thing, I'm going to hang that up. I'm going to make a different choice for deodorant. Or the toothpaste thing, I'm going to not buy toothpaste from the store anymore. I'm going to make a different choice on that. Even if it's just one thing, you've just eliminated one product with those ingredients in it. And that's going to start helping you move toward health. And then as you get more comfortable with it, you make another choice, you make another product and then another product. It might start for you and not be the personal hygiene stuff at all. You might start with, the cleaning products and say, I want to start with cleaning. I want something that's going to do better than what I can buy at the store. And it's healthy for me. Maybe that's where you start. You don't have to do all or nothing. Some of you on the webinar are going to. You're going to listen to this and you're going to go, oh my gosh, you're going to open up the cabinets. You're going to start throwing stuff out and say, give me some new stuff. Stuff that's not toxic for me. And that's fine. If that's where you're at, that's a perfect choice. But if it's not, one thing, just one thing, and start slowly making those changes. Rome wasn't built in a day, as the saying goes. And our lives aren't going to change in a day for most of us. It's a process. In my house, it most certainly has been a process. It's been a 2-year journey for us so far. And we're still working through it. We're not to where we want to be, but we're slowly getting there. So it's a journey. So let's talk about the alternatives. One of the first things, I mentioned earlier that we are connected with Young Living essential oils. And it is amazing to me what essential oils can be used for. So Young Living has a number of different oils. When I talk about essential oils, specifically, I'm talking about Young Living. I have no experience with any other brand. So if you've used other brands, great. My experience has been Young Living. There are specific reasons why I will not use other brands. And it's not just because, I sell Young Living, which I do, but the reason I sell Young Living and the reason I help connect people to Young Living is because of the quality of what is there and because I have done the research to find out that it is healthy. And so if you're listening to this and you've not explored that and you'd like to get more, I'm going to give you my phone number at the end of this call. Give me a call. I would love to talk with you and just share with you what I've learned and why these specific oils, not just essential oils in general, but specifically Young Living oils, make the impact. So there are oils that can really help. And so one of the best oils to use for many of the products that we've talked about is an oil blend called Thieves. It's got a number of different oils in it. A lot of people smell Thieves and they say, boy, it smells like Christmas cookies baking. And so you put it on, you go into the store and people go, woohoo, Christmas. It's a really nice smelling oil. But here's the thing, it is also phenomenal. The oil itself, if you use it on your body, it supports a healthy immune system. That's one of the biggest things it does. I mean, it does some other stuff too, but most people use it to support a healthy immune system. But it is incredible as a cleaning product. There is a whole line, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, of products that Young Living has that are based on the Thieves oil because it is so incredible for cleaning. And so we'll show you that in a minute. But definitely essential oils. There are other oils that are great for cleaning too, and we'll talk about those. But aside from oils, white vinegar, Oh my gosh, white vinegar has so many different uses. We actually started using white vinegar in my home because my wife started waking up to the idea of chemicals in the products that we use, actually before we even got involved with Young Living. So that journey for us started before our Young Living journey started. So in our home, for instance, did you know that you could substitute jet dry in your dishwasher for white vinegar, or white vinegar for jet dry? So instead of putting the jet dry in, you just put the white vinegar in, right? So there's the 2 cups, maybe I'm not thinking of the right product. There's 2 cups that you put soap in, right? There's the 1 cup that goes in immediately, and there's the 2nd cup that opens up later. Put vinegar in the 2nd cup that opens up later. And we have found that that works better than any other product that we've put in there that we've bought at the store. So white vinegar works really well. Also, man, white vinegar and baking soda, right? And I'll talk about more about baking soda in a minute, but white vinegar and baking soda, we have an issue in our home with buildup from our water. It's actually ate through a couple of sink faucets and stuff like that because of the minerals and stuff that are in it. And so our faucets get stuck because of the buildup. And we've used a mixture of baking soda and white vinegar to help clean that once it builds up. And what happens is they actually stop turning. And we can use white vinegar and baking soda to clean that up, get it working again. It's amazing what these products can do. And they're non-toxic. Lemon, oh my goodness, lemon has so many different uses that we can oftentimes that we forget about, that we don't know about. And not just the lemon juice. A lot of times when we think about lemons, we think about, the juice, the fruit, the tartness, the citric acid. Yeah, that stuff has some great power to it. But there's an often forgotten part of the lemon, which is the peel. And the peel has the oil in it. And so when you buy oil from Young Living, that's actually where it comes from, is the rind of the lemon. And that is incredible for cleaning. That is incredible for freshening. It's really good for the body, for detoxing and other things also. So, there's a lot of great uses for lemon oil. So the whole lemon, there's great uses for the juice. I don't know if you knew this or not, but, and if you're a woman, you probably did. I thought it was really kind of cool when I found out, but you can actually bleach your hair using lemons instead of the bleach you buy at the store. And it's a completely safe way of doing it without chemicals, right? So there's all sorts of natural uses for things, right? Lemon's a great one. And then baking soda, I mentioned a minute ago. Oh my gosh, baking soda. Did you know, I can talk about this because baking soda is not a product that Young Living sells, but you get online and you do some research on baking soda, and what they're finding is that baking soda can actually help fight cancer. But when you find that, it's among alternative medicine articles. It's not among the oncologists. It's not among the people who promote chemotherapy and radiation therapy and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that chemotherapy or radiation therapy is bad, or that's not the way to go. That's a choice that you have to make with your doctor if you've got cancer. But what if there's an alternative? And there are more and more studies that are pointing to baking soda as an alternative. Holy cow. What would happen if the world woke up and realized that we have products that are non-toxic to our bodies that can make us healthier? So imagine using a product with baking soda in it, like toothpaste. Now you can buy toothpaste at the store with baking soda in it, but it's also got the sodium lauryl sulfate, right? It's also got the propylene glycol. So it's not really doing you any good. But man, there's so many good uses. I mentioned earlier, just a minute ago, the white vinegar and the baking soda to help clean up our sinks for the buildup for the sink handles, for the knobs. There's a lot of great uses for baking soda. So get online and do a little bit of research. Look at white vinegar and lemon and baking soda and other products as well. This is just a handful of products that you can use. These are things that we've used in my home. So as we started going through our journey of trying to clean up our act, trying to get more healthy, get rid of some of the chemicals in our home, these are things that we used. But I don't know, maybe you're like me. So my wife and I are kind of polar opposites at times. My wife, when we first started going through some of this stuff, she just kind of took it on and started finding some things. Well, let's try this instead of this. Let's try this instead of this. Okay, great, you do it. When it came to the oils, here's what happened. I was working 2 jobs. I was working full-time as a marketer, and then I was also working part-time as a youth pastor. I was tapped. I had no more time in the day. I barely had time to sit down and eat dinner with my family. And I mean, it was not good choices that I was making, but my mind was so overloaded with the other stuff of life, I had no more room. And so when she came and said, you know what, these oils things, we've got to get into this. We've got to look at this and adopt this into our family. I said, you know what, if this is what we need to do, I trust you, but you have to do it because I have no more capacity to do it. And she said, okay. And so she did. And so for her, she had the time to go research, well, how do I use white vinegar and how do I use baking soda and how do I mix these things in a way that's going to give us what we need and do it, cheaply and be as effective or more effective than what we can buy at the store. She had the time to do that, and she made the time to do that. But a lot of people are like, I was at that point. I didn't have the time. I needed something ready to go. She, talked about wanting to give me a different deodorant. I said, just buy me the stick at the store because I had no more time. Well, the good news is for people who are like me, Young Living has an answer for you. So every product that we've talked about that you would maybe want to use, they have an already made product, so you don't have to try and make it on your own. So we talked about the Thieves products earlier. The Thieves line, okay, which Thieves is really, really good for supporting healthy immune systems, okay? So there is toothpaste. There's actually two different types of toothpaste of Thieves. There's mouthwash, there's floss, there's hand soap, there's the general purpose cleaner. That's amazing. One bottle of Thieves General Purpose Cleaner can be used for almost all, it's 100 different things it can be used for. Let me tell you just a few of the things that we've used it for. My wife uses that mixed with water. So you just mix it with water to dilute it because it's highly concentrated. She's used that in our laundry. She's used that in our dishwasher. She's used that to clean counters. She's used that to clean the floor. We're using it to scrub the siding on our house. Okay, but here's the one that really got me. She used it to degrease our oven. So, you can buy those chemicals at the store, right? That you put them in the oven and you scrub it out and then you have to bake it out and it creates this awful smell in the house. And it's actually highly toxic to you. Well, my wife used Thieves Cleaner for that. And we forgot about the next step, baking it. And so the next time we used the oven, which you didn't have to do with the Thieves Cleaner, but we just even forgot about that as being a step of the normal process. So the next time we used the oven, it started smelling like cinnamon. And I was going, what's that smell? And I realized that she had just cleaned the oven with Thieves. And so it smelled amazing. It wasn't a repulsive smell. It was clean. It was non-toxic to me or our boys. It was good. And it was, she said, more effective than anything she's ever bought at the store for cleaning the oven. More effective. Those are just a handful of uses that the Thieves Cleaner can be put to use for. They also have ready-to-go dishwasher detergent, ready-to-go laundry detergent, hand sanitizer, and then not Thieves specifically, but some other oils like vanilla and copaiba. Lavender is amazing for the skin. There's soaps with lavender in it. There's shampoo and conditioner with lavender in it. There's soaps and shampoo and conditioner with copaiba and vanilla or with mint. There's all sorts of personal care products. There's oil-based deodorants. Oh my gosh. When I was using store-bought deodorant, I was having to apply deodorant 2 and 3 times a day to not smell. So I'd shower in the morning, I'd put deodorant on, and by like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I was having to reapply. And if it was a late night for me, usually by like 7, 8 o'clock, I was having to reapply. Because I never did do the antiperspirant thing. I was just a deodorant kind of guy, but having to apply that stuff 3 times a day, and it has that propylene glycol in it, and it has that sodium lauryl sulfate, not to mention some of the other products we didn't talk about tonight. I was just lathering this chemical on me. And now the deodorant that I use, we actually buy the deodorant from Young Living, once a day, and if I don't shower the next day, I'm usually still okay. Unless, I go out and I do some, pretty heavy work or it's really, really hot and I'm just sweating profusely because I'm a sweaty kind of guy sometimes, then I might have to apply once a day. But since I started using products that were not the chemical laden products, I have never had to apply more than once a day. That's pretty impressive in my book. I think that's pretty impressive. So the point is, if you're looking to have a healthier life, if you're looking to get away from the chemicals that are poisoning your body, that are causing damage to your skin, that are causing damage to your organs, whether it's, damage now or damage down the road, there are alternatives. And the question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go all out? I mean, right? It's like saying, I'm never going to eat sugar again, and cold turkey's stopping it. Some people may do that. Are you going to change one thing? What's the one thing you're going to change? Maybe it's the deodorant. Maybe it's the hand sanitizer. Maybe it's the general purpose cleaner. Maybe it's the shampoo or conditioner. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the toothpaste. I don't know what it is for you. But what one thing would you change right now if you could? And then just start. So here's the next steps. So I would recommend picking up a couple of books. There's 3 books in a series called The Chemical Free Home by Melissa Poping. And that's available through a company called Life Science Publishing. You can also buy it off of Amazon. They're not very thick books. Most of what's in here are ingredients. Or not ingredients, I'm sorry, are recipes. So there are things that are non-toxic, that are natural, including essential oils. Not strictly essential oils. It has a bunch of other stuff in it, like the baking soda, like the vinegar, and some other things. So it gives you recipes for how to make some of these things to replace what you normally would use. In these books are also a longer list of ingredients, what they do and how they're used and why they're used. So more than the few that we talked about tonight. So I would highly recommend picking up these books. They're really cheap. I think they're like 10 or 12 bucks a piece. Whether you get them through Life Science Publishing or you get them through Amazon, they're about 10 or 12 bucks a piece. So I would highly recommend getting into that, getting some more information from those. And if you're not a Young Living member, if you're not using essential oils, whether you're a member or a retail customer, if you're not using Young Living oils, I would strongly encourage you, get on it. Start using them. Get some in your hand and get it going. Because the longer you wait, the more you're just continuing to put these toxins in your body. So, whether you just want to try a new toothpaste or, you just want to get some oils and see what they do. I'd love to help you. Kim and I, my wife and I, would love to help you get started with that. So if you're not a Young Living member, we have a gift for you for hanging out with us tonight. So if you're not a Young Living member, we want to thank you for coming and joining us. And on your screen right now, we want to give you a $20 thank you gift. So I wish I could offer this to everybody, for all of eternity. Unfortunately, I can't. So for the next 48 hours, so today is Tuesday, so this will be good through Thursday night. If you are not yet a Young Living member, we'd like to help you get started. We'll give you $20 off the Premium Starter Kit. And so to take advantage of that, what you need to do is call us and we'll walk you through the process. If you call Young Living, they will not honor that. If you go to some other Young Living representative, they will probably not honor that. So this is specifically for the people on this webinar who are not Young Living members, who would like to get part of that. You know what though, if somebody invited you here, aside from me or my wife, and encourage you to come, I would encourage you, before you call me, call them and say, hey, first, thank you for inviting me to this webinar. It was so informative. And man, I have got to get some oils. I've got to get some of these products and start getting some of these chemicals out of my life. And then just ask them, you know what? Josh was offering $20 off the Premium Starter Kit. If we got it with him, would you be willing to do the same thing? So if somebody already has pointed you toward Young Living or has pointed you toward essential oils, definitely reach out to them first. But if you're here because I invited you, or you saw an ad or something like that, 48 hours, we'd love to help you get started. So the Premium Starter Kit, it's $160 and it comes with 11 oils, including thieves, including lemon. Man, there's an oil we didn't talk about tonight called Purification, which is phenomenal for smells, right? So my wife actually uses that instead of deodorant. I still use a deodorant. We just order it from Young Living because I like the stick. But there's 11 different oils. Oh, and there's one called Stress Away. Let me tell you what, if stress is an issue in your life, whether it's an issue for your job or your finances or your family or whatever, if you deal with stress, you have got to join me next Tuesday. So I'll be putting up a link here in just a minute to our class that we're doing next Tuesday. We're going to do a class on stress and how to deal with it, and take hope. There is a way to deal with it, and I'll tell you the story on Tuesday about why this stress is so important to me. but we'll be doing that on Tuesday. So come back and join us. So if you want to take advantage of this $20 thank you gift, go ahead, give me a call. My number is there on the screen. It's 810-207-5115. If you click on the link where it says order your starter kit on that little coupon, it'll take you actually to a slightly different website than what's on the PowerPoint there, and it'll give you some information about ordering and what that looks like. So would love to walk through that with you. Whew. So we are about 7 minutes out from being at an hour. So I appreciate you being here. But what I want to do at this point is go ahead and open up and start talking about the questions that you might have. So again, if you have some questions, there's a little area in the webinar interface there. Go ahead and chat in your questions. One question that was already asked was, cosmetics, are they not good for the skin? And what I would have to say to that is absolutely, most of the time you're right. Look at your ingredients list. Understand what's there. I would venture to say that between 95 and 98% of consumer cosmetics, whether it's makeup or personal hygiene products, whether it's skin cleaners and exfoliators and stuff like that, or it's your makeup. I'm not going to go anywhere deeper than that. Most of them have these chemicals in it that are horrible for you. And, again, I only touched on a few of them tonight. And so do some more research and look at what you're putting on your skin. But just keep in mind, okay, so let's say I put makeup on. So not only is there the chemical in the makeup, but now I'm going to use a makeup remover in order to take it off. What chemicals are in that makeup remover that I'm taking off? And, things like shampoo and conditioner and soaps and makeup remover, they don't sit on our skin for very long, so we think. But here's something to keep in mind. Part of why one of the methods to use essential oils is on the skin is because of how quickly the skin absorbs things. And so essential oils get absorbed through the skin in 3 to 5 seconds. So imagine putting gasoline on your skin. You're out putting gas in your car, a little bit spills on you. 3 to 5 seconds is all it takes for that to soak in. Now, there are other products that aren't quite as thin, right? That may take a little bit longer, but let's say you put makeup on a daily basis. Let's just say foundation, right? I mean, forget all the other stuff. So you put foundation on a daily basis. That sits on your skin for 6 to 12 hours typically. Holy cow. So those chemicals that only take 3 to 5 seconds to soak in, you're letting them sit there for 6 to 12 hours. Imagine the damage you're doing to your skin and to your body. So yeah, a lot of the cosmetics are not good for the skin. Now, here's what you can do. Look at the products, look at the ingredients. There are some products that are available that are good. Now, the ones I'm familiar with, again, are the Young Living products. So Young Living does have, I believe they have some makeup products that are available. Obviously, you're not going to have as wide of a selection as, if you went to the store, but they do have a really good set of, I believe, makeup products. But beyond that, they have a fantastic set of facial care products called the ART system, A-R-T. That is phenomenal. In fact, I just got that for my wife for her birthday. And am loving, her using that. And there is nothing toxic about what's in there. So what Young Living is doing is saying, what are the things that people are using on a regular basis that we can offer a better solution for, healthier solution for, that's oftentimes cheaper and going to do a better job. And that's what the products are that come out. So, if you're using cosmetic products, definitely look at what's available from Young Living. If you need some help finding what's there, give me a call. Again, would be happy, Kim and I, to talk with you, help point you in a direction. Unfortunately, I know there's some other companies out there that offer some decent cosmetics. I'm not intimately familiar with them. My wife might be. So if you want to talk more, hit me up on Facebook or give me a call. We'd be happy to talk with you about that. So, okay, good. Well, that is the only question I've seen. So again, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We are about 3 minutes out from the hour mark. This has been fun for me. I get really passionate about things like this. I hope you could tell. But I mean, here's the thing. I love talking to people and sharing with you what I've learned and helping people find out how do we do life just a little bit better. That's really the goal of what I do with Young Living. How do we do life a little bit better? How do we not just survive our life, but thrive through our life? How do we have an abundant life, a healthy life? And that's what all of this is about. So, definitely I appreciate you you being here. Give me about 30 seconds here, maybe not even that long. I'm going to grab the link for you for the class for Tuesday night on stress. Again, would love to have you join me for that. So there should be, there we go. Okay, so I just sent that over, so you should be able to get that. Also, if you prefer, we also do these classes in person. So the second and the fourth Thursdays of the month, we are at the Big B in Heartland, Michigan, if you're not from Michigan. So if you're in the area and would like to come to, a physical meeting, get to talk with us face to face, have a little bit more interaction, we'd love to have you there. So not this week, but next Thursday, we are doing the stress class there at the Big B in Heartland. Otherwise, Tuesday, we'll be doing it here online. So definitely encourage you, come join us for one of those and, take the next step. Find the things in your home that are causing damage that you didn't know about. Choose one thing, pitch it, and get something to replace it, because there is so much better things that we could be using than what's commonly available at the store. So cool. Well, thanks everybody again for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night, a great week.